Well, good morning. Here with my coffee. It's storming outside, so I figured probably be a good day for a low voice story. So I talked about my dad a couple times about how we used to, for bed, we'd listen to old stories on the radio. Something else my dad loved was movies. That's kind of why I got into making films and videos because of my dad. And I remember way back in the day, he came home with this thing and he goes, you know, this is it. He goes, we're going to get to see movies. Movies that have nothing cut out of it, no commercial breaks or anything. It's called HBO, except for he said home box office. So it was this small dish. I remember he was so proud of it. We got it out. And then we had to get it up on this mass, this huge mass. And we had to put it way up there. And then we had to get it tuned in just right. And we got one channel on the box, and that was HBO. And that was the first time home box office first came out. And my dad would refer to it not as HBO, but home box office. And then you would watch a movie uncut, and then you sit through like an hour of commercials for the other movies that were going to be on. No like commercials like, you know, the local grocery store or anything like that. Just what was going to be on home box office. Used to be hooked to an old console TV, and you only put the TV on channel 3 or 4, and that was the home box office channel. Now, years go by, and he gets a big dish, and now we've got 20,000, well, 280 channels where you can get anything you want. He puts this, we go back to the home box office, he puts this big dish up there. And when something wasn't on, he'd go out and have me turn the regular antenna over to TV channel 31. And 31 would have old movies on it, like old Dracula movies, old Bela Lugosi movies, the Wolfman, just stuff like that, and we would watch that. Yeah. Then, but what my dad loved to do is go to the movies now. So we'd be at work because he owned a company, and in the middle of the day, especially on Tuesdays, he would break loose and we'd all go down to the movie theater and watch movies, because on Tuesdays there was a thing called Tightwad Tuesday, so it was $2 a person, and it was funny because we'd go down there and we'd watch movies all day. All day. It was just amazing. Yeah, my dad was a real character. And we used to go to the movies, and he would have us wait in the car, and he would go up and pay for him to go in. Then he would go in, and he would turn around and he would go. He would go in, and then we would run around to the door because he'd tell us what theater he was in, and he would open the back door up and let us in. Not that we didn't have the money, just he was just always trying to do something to keep it going. Now I remember when the satellite dishes first came out, the big ones, and it was all pretty new technology. You would have to hit a button and the big dish would turn to pick up what you wanted on that satellite, and then like if you wanted Disney, he would have to hit another button that would turn over to the satellite that had Disney on it. Then you could watch all the Disney shows and channels. But I remember back when I was a kid that Disney was on Channel 40 at 6 p.m. on Sundays. And my parents would pack me up, go to my grandparents before 6 p.m. And they lived in a one-bedroom house. And then all my cousins their parents would pack them up, and we'd go up there and we'd all sit in front of this 23-inch color TV watching Disney from 6 to 8 on Sundays. That was the highlight of stuff. Now, I remember I tell my dad that this movie Star Wars is coming out, and I really want to see it. So about 2 days before the movie comes out, my dad sends one of his best friends, I would call him Uncle Jim, out to the movie theater, the UA, Universal Artists, and he would have him camp out there in line and stay in line. And Uncle Jim sat in line for 2 days and kept moving up for Star Wars. And then we would come in and get in line at the last minute, and because Jim saved our spot, and then all of us would go in and see Star Wars when it first came out in the 70s.